Welcome to the Midlands for the Party Poker World Pool Masters. It's an event that has attracted the world's very best pool players, competing for a prize fund of $66,000 and one of the most coveted titles in the sport. An Englishman came within touching distance of the title last year, Darren Appleton losing in the finals to Niels Fine. 12 months later, Appleton is already out of the Masters. His World Cup winning teammate, Karl is about to make his debut. The Englishman is hoping home advantage will be a big plus and not a massive burden. It worked in the recent World Cup where boys helped England claim their first trophy. Will Nottingham prove a fertile hunting ground as Karl goes in search for his first ever Party Poker World Pool Masters title? It has been an explosive start to the Masters. 2 seeds dumped out of the competition in the opening 2 matches. The real headline-grabbing performance came not from the defending champion Niels Fine, but instead from Italy's Daniel Corriere, a man whose claim to fame rested with the collection of 2 Italian titles. But here in Nottingham, he mastered the break and denied Fine any sort of opening. Those that did come Fine's way, he failed to take. It gave Corriere the edge and ensured he went through to the quarterfinals. The top seeds should have taken note. In our next match, former 2-time world champion Thorsten Homan found himself 5 racks down after the opening exchanges with Nikos Economopoulos, an impossible position to recover from. Plenty of drama in our third match with the appearance of Darren Appleton, a runner-up last year. He faced the unseeded Canadian Alex Pagulayan. Once again, the favorite found himself on the wrong end of the scoreline. Former Masters champions litter the lineup. Much was expected of Karl, and he delivered against the highly rated Wang Kan, the man from Poland, the first to master the break. Chris Melling gave the home crowd something to cheer about with a hard-fought win over Dennis Orculio of the Philippines. Regarded as one of the toughest first-round matches, Melling emerged victorious and into the quarterfinals. Last time out, it was a real question of what if. Shane Van Boening raced into a 7-1 lead against Australia's James Georgitis. The Australian then spent the remainder of the match walking a tightrope. His nerve held for the next 6 racks as he pulled the score back to 6-7, only for a slight wobble to derail his Masters dream and send the American through to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals are filling up rapidly. In the top half of the draw, Italian Daniel Corriere will play Karl, and Nikos Economopoulos will take on Alex Pagulayan. In the bottom half, there's confirmation of Shane Van Boening's win. He will play the winner of the imminent Gray match. Melling's win over Dennis Orculio sets up the possibility of a clash with fellow Englishman and good friend Karl although Boys has to first overcome Waleed Majid. Both players have recently featured in the World Cup of Pool. For Boys, it was a winning experience. For Majid, it was a second-round exit. Can the Masters see a reversal in his fortunes?
I play in top 16 World 9-ball, and I play top 16 also in World Cup last month, and also in US Open last month, top 16. And I will try to play more good in this tournament.
Karl is enjoying a successful season, but still looking to make his mark in the Masters.
It's a tournament I've never really done too well in, to be honest. I think this is my 3rd appearance and I've not done too well in it, so I'm hoping this week I can go quite deep and maybe even win it. Obviously you've got a lot of great players in it. I remember the first one I ever played in was in Las Vegas, so my mindset wasn't probably very professional with all the the Vegas lights, etc. And then last year I had a tough first round loss against Niels Fine 8-6, so it was a close match. And obviously this year, I'm playing the Qatar player Waleed. It's another tough match, and obviously it's a short race to 8, so you've just got to hope you settle in quick and get off to a good start and try and finish the job off.
First round action continues in the Party Poker World Pool Masters. This is England against Qatar. It is Waleed Majid up against Karl Boys. Boys the favourite, but as we've seen throughout this first round so far, shocks can occur. quite easily. And the prize for these two, a quarter-final against Chris Melling. Lagging for the break. The cue ball that's closest to the bulk cushion will win. Just about boys, and so he gets to break off in rack number 1. And in this race to 8, that's an advantage you want to have.
Race to 8, first rack. Boys.
Karl having a great year, having won the World Cup of Pool with his partner Darren Appleton, and what a tournament that was, and a finish that just blew the roof off the house in Portsmouth. He's come up empty on that first break shot, and he's left a shot for young Waleed Majid. And what a story this young man is, from Qatar. And he has elevated his game in the last 2 years. He is made it to the final 16 of the World 9-Ball, which was that was in Qatar. And he made it to 9th place in the U.S. Open. And he has really benefited from the money that the Qatar Olympic Committee has poured into the game over the last few years. But in that case right there, he has fouled and left the ball in hand for Karl Boys.
Undoubtedly the Middle East's leading player. And you were just talking about the World Cup of Pool, Ted.
There's a 2-9, Phil. Boy, that's just very fortunate for Karl Boys. Quickly out in front.
These top players are not frightened to go for the combinations. That one, for players at this level, was as elementary as you like. 2-9, all is fine. We haven't had a truly one-sided match yet in this tournament. We thought that Shane Van Boening was going to win in a canter against James Georgiadis, but it didn't work out that way. Van Boening led 7-1. Georgiadis came back to 7-6 before Van Boening was very relieved to win rack 14. Can Boys pull away?
He's got 2 balls down and a nice looking shot on the 1. However, the blue 2 is at the very opposite end of the table. So he'll have to figure out how to get position on that. Appears to be straight in on this 1 ball.
Well, to obtain position from this would be miraculous. Lots of power required. Unless, of course, he goes cushion first, but that's risky.
Well, perhaps he'll try to cheat the pocket a bit just to create a bit of angle. But, yeah, see, he's going to call his extension. This is the key shot here to get down for the 2 ball. Look at the spin he puts on that ball. Look out. Side pocket. Oh.
Just for a moment, I thought the cue ball was going to stop in the nick of time. It was a valiant effort, but he was always kicking against the wind there.
Yes, indeed. That was an excellent effort.
And now a very amenable table.
Waleed's a real cool player. Never gets rattled. Although when he made it to the final 16 in the World 9-Ball Championship, that was the furthest that any Qatari had ever gone in a World Championship. Along the way, he beat the Philippines great Lee Van Corteza. Everyone said, okay, that was pretty good. Maybe he got lucky, just had a good day, and Lee Van had a bad day. He came up in his next match and disposed of none other than Darren Appleton. And then people started saying, wow, this guy can play the game of 9-ball. And he very nearly went further in that tournament. And then he went to Virginia to play in the U.S. Open and just impressed everyone there in the United States with his steady play and got 9th in a field of 128 greats.
There is absolutely no doubt his career is on the upward curve. And he's a player that Boys respects. Boys scratched. Majid did the rest. 1-1.
The match perfectly balanced. We'll be back after the break. Well, the Middle East is one of the hotbeds of this American game of pool. And a lot of the governments there, especially in Qatar, are pouring money into the game and training. I mean, it's a pretty simple formula, Phil. You know, when you pour resources into something, it usually has its benefits.
No benefits to that break for Majid. It's a dry break. As soon as the balls came to rest, Karl Boys said push out. Can't get through to the one, so no other option.
There's Danielle Corriere in the left, Alex Pagulayan, 2 winners, and James Georgitis of Australia, who very nearly made a miraculous comeback win over Shane Van Boening, but it wasn't to be. He was down 7-1, eventually lost 8-6 to the American.
I think Alex Pagulayan should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for laughing or smiling for the largest percentage of his life.
So Waleed hands it back to Karl, so he'll have to shoot. Oh, it's terrific safety. What a great shot there by putting that cue ball, marrying it right up against the 5 ball. And now where do you go from here? That's the ideal position to put that cue ball, because if there was a space, he could actually easily get out. That's a nice effort there. But he's going to leave that on.
And look at the configuration of the balls. Handy for Boys. You might have heard Karl doing a shift on the commentary at this tournament a couple of times. He's a very upbeat character, but when he plays and competes, he's as serious as the next man. And a very tough nut to crack.
Absolutely. Great talent on the pool table. And one of the things that makes him so good is that he thrives under pressure. He loves the spotlight. He loves to play when the nerves are jangling. A lot of players, have trouble in pressure situations. He has proven over many events that he can play under pressure.
As he's done in the Moscone Cup. In the questionnaire we give the players, they're asked for their top 3 career achievements. And one of those, according to Boys, for him, was beating Earl Strickland, not one of his favourite people, in the Moscone last year. But he doesn't just say beating Earl Strickland. The words of Karl Boys, smashing Earl Strickland up live on television.
Karl loves to wind up Earl.
He's prospered in that Moscone Cup environment. Been on 2 winning teams, but he's also thrived as an individual as well. His crowning achievement, winning the 2010 World 8-Ball Championship, beating Niels Fine in the final.
That final went down to the very last rack. Niels Fine was breaking in the last rack. Sudden death, and broke dry, and watched from his chair as this man, Karl Boys, ran the table for his first world championship.
And with that, Boys restores the lead. He was 1-0 ahead. He's back in front at 2-1. Boys is part of a 4-pronged English attack in this tournament. Darren Appleton has been beaten. Chris Melling is through. Boys try to join him in the quarterfinals, and a little later on we get to see Mark Gray up against Mika Immonen as the first round concludes.
And that rack for Karl Boys all resulted from that terrific safety that he played that forced Majid to just do anything he could to hit the one ball, but had no idea where the position was going to end up. The table was then open and Boys cleared. And that was a good example of how sometimes the best offense is a good defense.
You saw the 1 ball fly to the middle pocket. The 2 almost was pocketed as well. And it disappeared where the 3 is. What a chance this would have been. As it is, Boys can't get through to the 2. With a push out, you're allowed to put the cue ball anywhere on the table, hitting any ball. Then it's a case of your opponent coming to the table and deciding, do I play the shot or do I put the other guy back in? And in this case, Majid has decided that Boys is pushed out into an awkward spot and he doesn't fancy it.
I don't think Karl fancies this either. Didn't appear to be happy with that push out. Usually you leave part of the ball open to tempt your opponent, because if he hands it back to you, you know, you want to be able to do something with it. And now he's got to jack up and swerve it around. And see, that all went awry. That was a poor push out from Karl Boys. And now the table is open for Majid.
Needed to make slightly more of a sturdy contact with the two than he did. Well, a very loose, wristy, fluid cue action from Majid, and imparted there far too much screw spin on the cue ball.
Majid's got a bit of the Filipino stroke in him. That very loose, flowing stroke that looks like they're barely holding the cue. Hopefully you can get a look at that. Francisco Bustamante's like that, barely holding the cue. One of the coaches for the Qatari national team is a great Filipino, Antonio Gabica, who made it to the finals of the World Nine Ball in 2013. So certainly, oh no, that did not go well.
To find the middle pocket there was a little unfortunate. It was quite an acute angle. Here you can see it. Straight in. What a boy's bonus. Seemed like a little bit of a clunky contact between white and object ball there, but no harm done. And this is simple as you like. And as is so often the case at this level, if you scratch, you lose the rack.
Yet another mistake. Waleed Majid gives it over to Karl Boys. It's now 3-1 for Boise. I was saying that Majid learned over the last few years this trade, playing 9-ball from the great Antonio Gabica, one of the top Filipino players, and perhaps that's where he got his fluid stroke. There you see, Karl Boys, 32 from Blackpool. His nickname, Guapo, is a Filipino word. You'll like this. Filipino. What do you think it means? Do you know what it means, Phil?
It sounds like something out of a spaghetti western.
It means handsome. Good looking.
Oh, it's all coming together now. I think the ironic use of the word guapo was in The Three Amigos. Do you remember the baddie? I think he was called Guapo, and he wasn't good looking at all.
Yeah, Karl picked up that name on one of his trips to the Philippines. Yeah, he's not the shy type, Karl.
On the player information sheet, he was asked to describe himself in 10 words, and 2 of those words were amazing and modest. They don't easily coexist, do they, those? Right. Awesome and clumsy were another 2 words. Well, he's certainly not being clumsy in this match so far.
Well, he played a nice save earlier that led to a rack. He was given the last rack. And he is working his way through this rack nicely. And he is in total control of this contest right now. And this will make it 4-1. There it is. A 3-rack lead. Everything going Karl Boy's way.
Now, Waleed Majid, the Middle Eastern representative in this tournament from Doha in Qatar. He's a fine player, improving all the time, but against Karl Boys, he's got his hands full.
Boy, that is a terrific break shot right there.
And just to put some icing on the cake, even right at the end there, the 3-ball was chipped directly over a pocket, meaning that the positional aspect of this pot on the 2 is going to be pretty straightforward.
He is looking unstoppable at this point.
Not too happy, but with running side here, should be okay. Played it around the back of the 5-ball just as efficiently. Well, he's making a difficult game look easy. We said right at the start of the match, didn't we, Ted, that we haven't seen a dominant performance yet. We've seen some good performances, but nothing where one player is completely taken control of a match. And maybe this is going to be the first.
Look out. Cue ball. Ooh. He's not exactly satisfied with the way he's negotiated this rack, but he is down on the 9-ball with a chance to make it 5-1. Waleed Majid is no slouch here. This guy is one of the better players right now over the last few months in the pool world. He is really playing well, and this scoreline is a testament to just how terrific Karl Boys is playing at the moment. 5-1. 2 breaking runs in a row. Waleed Majid stuck in his chair.
Well, for Karl Boys, as rack 7 gets underway, it's more of the same, please. Everything going according to his plan.
Look at that. The 1-ball got kicked and went into the other side. Very fortunate there for Boys. See, it got kicked by the orange 5-ball. Other than that, it wasn't going to go into the other side, the side it normally tracks towards.
And all the more important because it was the solitary ball potted. Mind you, the 2 has done him no favours. Excellent. One of those shots where the double was obviously there. The bank, whichever terminology you like to use. And it was guaranteed position on the 3 as well.
It looks like he's in the zone at the moment. That special place that all players like to be in.
Time extension.
Where everything's going your way, you're thinking clearly. The arm is loose. You just feel like you can do anything.
Never easy when the beeps are going off in your head. And of course he'd taken his time extension before that, so had to play the shot then and there with this 30-second rule. It can be unrelenting.
Yes, but when you're in the zone like he is, I don't think anything bothers him. He's playing terrific.
No recourse to the time extension now in this particular act, but he has had the extension put on his cue there just to make the pot on the 6 a little more easily reachable. And now it's hard to imagine he's not going to bring up 6-1. And this is so impressive.
I think it's fair to say, Phil, this is as good a performance as we've seen so far in this event. 6-1. Karl Boys in the zone and loving every minute of it. Welcome back to this first round match between Karl Boys and Waleed Majid. Boys has dominated this match, winning all bar the second rack. He is now just 2 racks away from a place in the quarterfinals. One on the side. The 2 is down, but no shot on the 3. Calls a push out. So this time I'm sure he'll do it right. Last time he didn't leave anything. He snookered himself, and that's why that cost him the rack. But this time he'll leave something for Waleed to look at.
Yes, he made a real hash of his previous push out. Once bitten, twice shy.
He's going to tempt Waleed. Let him look at the side of it. Tempt him to go for this in desperation. But no. Waleed doesn't want to take it. And he gives the shot back to Karl.
Well, the pot in itself is tough, but how on earth is he going to get position on the Pink 4-ball after it. That made so much sense. Thin clip, containment. Although, where the balls came to rest, it was quite clear that Majid was a heavy favourite to lay the snooker in behind the 4.
Karl pulls out the jump cue. Short stick. He's left that open. So a chance now for Majid to get back in this contest. It's always possible in a race to 8 winner breaks. You're never out of it.
That pocket is generous. Time and time again, we see it rattle around the ball in there and then eventually drop. But not that pocket.
I think you can start to turn out the lights because this party may be over.
He's proud of his nation, proud to represent Qatar, and he's represented the country very well in 2014 as a whole. But for Waleed Majid, it looks as though this World Pool Masters is going to be a tournament to quickly forget, to banish from the memory banks. It's a combination of two things. He hasn't been at his best. Boys has been superb.
He hasn't really had much of a chance to showcase his best. And yeah, it's really come down to this is an excellent performance by Mr. Guapo, Karl Boys.
You said, Ted, that guapo in the Philippines means good looking, and this scoreline for Karl Boys is very good looking indeed.
Very guapo, yes.
7-1, breaking off in rack number 9. Just the kind of situation you crave.
And for the most part, he's been breaking very well. Well, he has the 2-ball down and does not appear to have a shot on the 1.
No, the 6 and the 4 have seen to that. 6 in particular. Now this is match number 7 in this Party Poker World Pool Masters. Match 6 saw Shane Van Boning establish a 7-1 lead over James Georgiadis. Georgiadis came back unbelievably to 7-6. Can Majid do something similar? Unlikely, but not impossible.
Majid gives the shot back to Karl. He's got to shoot. Well, here's the opening. I don't think the 3 ball passes that 7, although I cannot be 100% sure.
It doesn't, Ted.
He's going to try to break it up, yeah.
And now in the worst kind of snooker, self-imposed.
Now that's going to pop out. That is definitely on for Karl Boys.
Now the 5 ball in close proximity to the 9. Maybe combination, but it's onto the opposite pocket anyway.
That's a terrific shot. So it's just a few more colors that have to drop. Karl Boys will book a date in the quarterfinals against his good friend, fellow Englishman Chris Melling. Wow. Well, he got away with that. He ran into the 9 ball, and luckily he didn't get snookered, so still shooting.
Well done. You know, Karl was commentating when Chris Melling beat Dennis Nicolo. He was commentating with me, and he gleefully mentioned that his career record head-to-head against Chris Melling is actually 13 wins for Karl, 1 for Chris. He was determined to make a point. You'll be looking forward to that contest now because it's going to become a reality in a second. There it is. Karl Boys, the most comprehensive victory we've seen in the first round of this Party Poker World Pool Masters of 2014. And by a distance, he beats Waleed Majid by 8 racks to 1. What a trouncing.
If you're Karl Boys, that's what you call a very guapo scoreline.
It's nice to win a match like that, especially in the first round. I broke off in the first frame, and I tried the cup break, and nothing went in, and he had a shot on the 1, he played a bad shot, then he missed a kick shot, and I had a 2-9 combo, you know, easy one. And then I thought, I'm going to change to go head on. And when I broke head on, you know, a ball went in, so I just thought that's the way I'm going to break now. But in the middle of the match, I think I run 2 or 3 just breaking head on. Obviously I need a bit of luck with ball going in, but I'm just telling myself that if I can give it a good hard break and get the balls moving around the table as quick as they can, then it's a bit unlucky if one doesn't go in, really.
Could this be the year that Karl Boys makes his mark in the Masters? Through to the quarterfinals and a fascinating clash with fellow Englishman and good friend Chris Melling. Just one issue from the first round still to be decided. Shane Van Boening is through, but who will he play in the quarters? Mika Immonen or Mark Gray? In the top half of the draw, Daniel Corriere will play Karol Skaversky, and Nikos Economopoulos will take on Alex Pagulayan. But here in Nottingham, it's all about another Englishman into the quarterfinals. Karl Boys, with the most impressive first-round score to date, is through to the last 8 in the Party Poker World Pool Masters.